Ah, look at that. Isn't that just the cutest little thing? Man, technology is awesome. That's the Hidizs H2 little Bluetooth amplifier. Awesome little thing. But we're not here for that today because we're here for the Hidizs MS2. Now this is a hybrid double driver earphone. It's got one 10.2mm dynamic driver and one Knowles balanced armature driver, and the price is $79. So let's get to it. What's cracking, audio fans? It's David here from Prime Audio Reviews, and we're doing the MS2, Hidizs MS2 today. Don't need that for now, I'll just leave that over there. And like I said, 79 bucks, dual driver IEM, and you might be surprised at what it has to offer. And by the way, stay tuned until the end of the video because I got a special deal for you guys that you might be interested in. So here's a look at the shells. As you can see, they're really nice. This is obviously the blue color. Very nice looking shells. They're made of acrylic or resin, German imported resin. So they're very smooth. Build quality is really nice. I love those face plates though. They look awesome. They change color under the light. Ta-da! But in terms of the shell, there's not much to say about it really. It's got an aluminium nozzle, of course, transparent shell, so you can see the little drivers inside. You got your 0.78mm 2-pin connector there, and that is about it. They're very lightweight. In terms of comfort, these are really good too. Super comfortable earphone. I can wear these all day long. The passive noise isolation is, it's decent. It's about average for this shape of IEM. So that's the shells out of the way. Now let's have a quick look at this cable. And the included cable is surprisingly good quality. It's a rather interesting one. It's intertwined pure silver and copper, OFC copper, are sort of intertwined together. You got your transparent plastic 2-pin connectors there. Preformed ear hooks, but they're nice and supple. They're not too stiff and don't get in the way. A rose gold colored Y split with a matching metal chin slider. That's a nice bonus. Pretty little bit unusual at this price point. And matching rose gold colored plug there with a straight 3.5mm termination. In terms of handling, this is a really good cable. It's lightweight, it's supple, it drapes well, and yeah, very good, very nice. Oh, and by the way, I wanted to show you the case that comes with these things because damn, look at that. That's pretty nice. It's got this, it's plastic, but it's got this brushed aluminium sort of faceplate tacked onto it, the Hidizs logo there. And inside the case, it's got a silicone lining or silica gel lining, which offers a bit of protection for your IEM so they don't get banged up too badly. And you know, it's a simple case, but it feels quite premium for something, you know, sub $100. And I also like the fact that it's just a bit different from the carrying cases that we usually see. I think that's pretty cool. But without any further messing around, I'm going to get right on to how these things sound, because these are surprisingly bloody good. And I'll tell you why. The overall tonality, slight V-shape, very light V-shape, but good tonal balance overall. Punchy bass, really excellent, nice, smooth, detailed high trebles, and a rather forward, very clear mid-range. So let's break it down now, starting with the bass. And the bass is lifted, it's emphasized, but it's nothing extreme. It's not a bass head IEM. If you want bass head, go for the older Hidizs MS1. That's bordering on bass head IEM. But this one just significantly boosted, but not huge. It's not a massive bass, but it does have a nice weighted low end. There's slightly more mid bass than sub bass, but having said that, it's definitely got some rumble down low. You'll feel it in your ears. It's got a Really nice sub bass presence. So you'll feel that, you'll hear that. It's not a super fast bass, but it's no slouch either, and it maintains good control. It's a well controlled bass, fairly good texture, fairly well defined, and no complaints at all. Pretty exciting bass. And one other thing, you know, people praise metal shells for their acoustic properties and the control they have. But I actually prefer, in some cases, I prefer a resin shell because it allows the bass to vibrate, and it's a more visceral, it's a more physical sensation. You can really feel the bass in your ears, and that's quite exciting. Now onto the mid-range, and the mid-range is fairly neutral, but it does inherit a little bit of warmth from the bass, of course. The clarity is really good on these. At the same time, you don't get any of that chi-fi, that typical chi-fi sort of upper mid-range glare. There's no shoutiness here, but you do, they still have excellent clarity, good articulation. Instruments are nice and crisp, you know, you get your crunchy electric guitars, and pretty surprisingly good, and rather forward mid-range. Vocals are pretty forward. Instrument separation is above average for this price range, and the detail retrieval on these is bonkers. It is really good, especially considering the smoothness of the treble. So the treble on the MS2 here, it's relatively forward, but it's kind of softened and a bit rounded, and this results in a treble that's airy and crisp, but it stays smooth and inoffensive. And this is achieved by a dip between 5 kilohertz and 7 kilohertz, and that takes out any harshness from the lower treble. Now that dip from 5 to 7 kilohertz is followed by a resurgence in the upper treble, so the treble comes back in again. Oh, let's have a look at the frequency graph real quick. Now, yeah, and as you can see, after that dip, the treble comes back in. It does have a peak at 8 kilohertz, and that 8 kilohertz peak can, on rare occasions, be a little bit sibilant. Now, by nature, the MS2 is definitely not a sibilant earphone, so don't get that into your head. But what I mean is that if a recording is poorly mastered or recorded badly, if it has inherent sibilance, I mean, then the MS2 won't sort of mask it over. It doesn't smooth over that, but it's not a sibilant earphone on its own accord. So it's got pretty good upper treble presence, and that's where you get your sparkle and that outstanding detail retrieval. And overall, it's a really surprisingly good quality treble for a sub $100 IEM. Very pleasant to listen to. Hi-hats and cymbals. The timbre is right, they sound good, they got a pretty good decay on them, but there's absolutely no harshness, there's no glare there. It's not a bright sounding earphone. It's nice and kind of relaxed up top, and overall just a really nicely tuned earphone. Right, so let's move on and do a couple of comparisons now. And the first comparison we'll do is with the Wizzer HEO1. And before we talk about the sound, let's just compare the sizes. Look at that. Yeah, the HEO1 is really a tiny little earphone. Super comfortable too. But, so in terms of sound, the HE01 here, it has more bass, less treble, but it's a single dynamic driver, so it's got that nice coherency and a very musical sound. I think the HEO1 here would be better suited for really super treble sensitive people. Now, having said that, I doubt there'll be many people at all that are offended by the MS2's treble. It is really, really well done. But if you don't want to hear any sibilance ever or any harshness ever, then the HEO1 will be a good one for you because it's super smooth up top, nice warm musical signature. It doesn't have the same level of clarity as the MS2, and it doesn't have quite as good detail retrieval as the MS2 either, but it is a very warm, welcoming sound, and if you particularly like a bit more bass presence in your music, then the HEO1 will provide that. Next up, we've got the Moondrop Aria, which is also a single dynamic driver IEM. This one has metal shells or alloy shells. Just like the Wizzer here, the Moondrop Aria has got more bass presence than the MS2, but the difference with this one is it concentrates more on the sub bass. It's got more sub bass presence and less upper bass. Now the upper bass sort of starts to fall off a bit more quickly, and what that does is that opens up the lower mid-range and it keeps away any bloat from that elevated bass, that elevated sub bass. So you do still end up with a nice clean mid-range. Now the Hidizs MS2, again, just like the Whizzer, the Hidizs has better clarity, more clarity than the Aria. And in addition, it also again has better detail retrieval. This is really good at picking up small or micro details. Now the Aria's rolled off treble gives it a slightly warmer overall tonality, but it's still able to maintain good resolution thanks to that clean lower mid-range and the bass control. So all of these are fantastic earphones. They are all sub $100 champions, probably the top three. I could add another couple in there, like the iBasso IT00. The KB Ear Diamond is still a good one. There are other ones that I can't think of at the moment, but these are definitely in the top three, the top five. And the Hidizs MS2, yeah, what a surprise. I was expecting it to be good, but not this good. And as such, it gets my recommended award, and it also earned a place on my best IEMs list on the website. Now, before I forget, back to that special deal I was talking about earlier. And if you look down in the description box below, I've got a couple of promo codes there. And if you use those, you can actually get 5% off the price of the MS2 here. Special discount for my viewers. So if you're interested in the MS2, definitely check that out. If you're interested in anything else, check my affiliate links down below. And to sum it up now, the Hidizs MS2, highly recommended. Really, really nice earphone. Great looks, great comfort, and very nice balanced sound with a fantastic treble, excellent detail retrieval, pretty smooth overall, a nice responsive punchy bass, and just a good all rounder. Recommended. So that's about it for this video, guys. If you liked it, give it a thumbs up, Parfam audiophile style, and if you're new to the channel and you want to see more reviews like this in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and until next time, I'll see you later.